about to start the second half, and certainly that controversial setting off right at the end of the first period, I suppose, will have given them a lift. I don't think it's done too much for the game. Maybe referees won't like me saying it, but it did seem to be such a harsh decision, and it will surely, Ray Wilkins, change Fiorentina's attitude now.
Yes, most definitely. I think you'll probably see a substitution made very, very shortly, where they'll stick a defender on and hope to get something out of the game. I thought it was a bit unfortunate, the sending off. I've got to say, it was right into injury time. Hadn't been a bad foul in the game all afternoon, and the referee decided to send Carnashali off, which was a great shame. Now we're going to see what they're made of, Fiorentina. They've done very well this year, their first year back. But this is going to be a tough task for them now. They're going to find themselves defending for long periods, and it'll be very, very interesting to see how they handle this red machine.
Milan's throw, which Bonucci will take. And they have indeed made a switch right at the start of the second half, Fiorentina. Baiano has been taken off. I think it's Lupi who's come on. So they've brought on a defender and taken off an attacker, which just proves the point we were saying.
That's a great shame for Baiano as well. This is one of the venues where every player wants to play the San Siro, and poor old Baiano, because of the sending off, he finds himself off. It's a great shame for him.
Savicevic, dispossessed by Rui Costa, who's just helping him back on his feet now. Batistuta has taken over the captain's armband from Baiano. That's a real shame. Fiorentina, such an attacking side, but they've had no option really but to tighten up more in the second half, having had Carnashali sent off. So Lupi's come on, the former Juventus defender, in his place. Carnashali. And Baiano's gone off. Bonucci's cross in. Rui Costa. And only as far as Massaro, who of course played for Fiorentina, indeed won Italian Cups during his spell there. Caps, I should say, not cups, if that sounded wrong. On by Carbone. Here's Galli. Only Batistuta then left right up front for Fiorentina. Some lone foraging for him to do in the second half. Back pass from Marcio Santos. Time here for Filippo Galli. A rare start for him in Milan's side. He hasn't featured since October in Serie A. With Costa Curta, of course, normally the first choice. Savicevic now. Surrounded by defenders as Lupi touches it back. The flag was up anyway. Free kick to Fiorentina. Who came up in some style from Serie B. Made a very impressive start to the campaign. The setting off of Carnashali was the third in 6 Serie A matches from this particular referee. His record now then 27 dismissals in 50 games. Draw your own conclusions from that. Albertini. Galli. Maldini. Majestic was the word I think you used in the first half, Ray, about Maldini.
Oh, it was wonderful, wasn't it? A wonderful 45 minutes of football.
Donadoni bravely into the tackle. Still Donadoni. And linking well now with Panucci. Plenty of support waiting in the middle. Desai arriving. There's Massaro. And eventually away by Marcio Santos for the corner. Massaro doing well.
Yeah, he did very well there. That ball's coming down from a bit of a height, and Massaro does well on the back post. They have Panucci on the right-hand side. Good ball in. And up goes Massaro. Marcio Santos well aware of the situation and heads it away for a corner kick.
Malucci's header out. Kept on then by Coes. Lupi. And he's found Rui Costa, whose influence was growing throughout that first half.
Yes, the last 20 minutes of the first half, he was very impressive. That was tremendous defending from Maldini.
Panucci, Donadoni. Simone curling it in. Oh! Well, Massaro came hurtling into the box.
Yeah, that was great play from Massaro. Knowing exactly what Simone's going to do, go for that far post. So unlucky not to finish that off. That really was first-class stuff.
Simone found superbly then by Maldini. What a good tackle though by Malushi.
Yeah, that was good football all around, Peter, wasn't it? A lovely ball back from Simone and a spin to with beautiful pass from Maldini, but very, very good defending from Malushi.
Here's Donadoni. Savicevic. Over that left foot, sweeping it through. And look who was in there, just hoping to pick up the bits and pieces. Daniele Massaro.
Yes, excellent goalkeeping from Toldo. Good shot in there from Savicevic. And there's Massaro looking for anything that drops out of Toldo's hands.
Milan's ball. To the disgust of Carbone.
He seems to be enjoying himself. A little wry grin there.
Who, the ref?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying anymore. Savicevic. You're a manager now. You careful what you say.
Oh, just said I thought he looked as if he was enjoying himself.
Maldini. Oh, we all are. Simone. That was a lovely flick by Donadoni. Simone! Great stop by Toldo. Desai with a shot charge down. Superb football then by Milan.
Wonderful football by Milan, Peter. You're dead right there. And a great save from Toldo. Really, really strong hand there.
Well, he underlined his class then, the goalkeeper Toldo. Referee now waving play on.
That's what Simone's prepared to do, them give and goes. He wants to get the other side of people. He gives it and he really makes a positive run. And by making the positive run, you make up the guy's mind who's in possession of the ball. And it really was good football from Donadoni and Simone.
Is that out of play? Panucci arguing a yellow card for his protest. Now the young defender will do well to keep his temper in check here.
But the ball must have left the playing field, Peter, as he played it down the line, because it was a lovely ball, and obviously there were defenders in behind Savicevic, so it wasn't offside.
Now Savicevic getting involved now with Pioli. One or two objects being thrown onto the field as Cincinnati now books Savicevic, and that means he'll face a ban now. He's one yellow away from suspension, and that's all a bit needless, especially with this referee. Malushi. Coes turned back into trouble though. Now Lupi to help him out. Rui Costa. Here's the man from Portugal again, producing a lovely moment of skill. Carbone and Batistuta. Maybe a little bit of an misunderstanding between the two there. Certainly danger for Milan.
Lovely piece of quality from Rui Costa out on the left wing there. He does that great. He goes to cross it in with his right foot and then just drags it back past people. Well, that's the quality. The ball into the box as well. He's actually picked out, I think it was Batistuta on the back stick. He was very unfortunate not to get something out of that.
Panucci. Dogged resistance still then from Fiorentina against the champions of Italy. Maldini on for Simone. Just kept it in. Savicevic. Toldo with the save again. My word, that was a stop then by the keeper.
That really was a good stop again, wasn't it? He stood his ground at the near post.
I thought if Savicevic had gone down there, it might have been a penalty.
Yes.
But,
yeah, the referee was right on spot as well, Peter. You're dead right. But again, good football from Maldini and Simone down the left-hand side.
Simone's corner. Easily gathered though by Toldo, who has certainly enhanced his reputation this afternoon. Stefano Pioli. at the harassment there from Desai. How do you fancy playing against him, Ray?
I wouldn't. Not at all, Peter. He's a very strong man, isn't he?
Massaro. This is Carbone. Off the post! Rossi was beaten. It was an awesome strike by Carbone.
Yeah, they're gaining confidence. They realise that defensively they're doing very well. That was an excellent shot from Carbone. Rossi, the ball bouncing just in front of Rossi, which is very tough for goalkeepers, and striking the inside of the upright. A lucky escape from Milan.
Baresi. Simone couldn't control it, but he found Baresi again. Donadoni has Panucci out wide. Panucci with a shot. Straight into the midriff of Toldo.
He's not a happy bunny, Massaro, is he? He's standing there all on his own on the back post, and I think Panucci would have crossed the ball, but his touch let him down, and he realised he had to come inside onto his left foot.
Galli committed himself and just managed to outsmart Rui Costa. Albertini now striding purposefully forward. Good effort to Toldo with a spectacular save. Such athleticism again from the goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's a big chap, isn't he? But he gets across the face of that goal. That was a lovely run from Albertini. Good strike. One for the cameras, I think, that one, Peter. It looked to be going straight at him, that one.
It certainly looked very impressive. Savicevic. Marcio Santos misses it. Doesn't matter anyway. Di Canio's coming on. And it's Donadoni who is going to be replaced.
Yeah, Di Canio could be the man, Peter. An out-and-out winger. Let's see if he can have a little drink up on the right-hand side and get a few balls in.
Desai. Savicevic on. Now Simone. Off Massaro. He's so often on the end of those crosses. Off his knee, I would have thought that.
Yeah, that's right. But it's only got a... You'd have thought hit him and it's in the back of the net.
Andrea Sottil is now coming on. Tedesco is the man who will take no further part in this game. Tedesco brought in Mauro today. So on comes Sottil, who started the game last week. Former Torino player. Panucci. Here's Savicevic. Aspioli. Di Canio. Has he taken it too far? Desai, yes! The Frenchman has scored. Desai. Milan take the lead.
Savicevic was magnificent, wasn't he? Tremendous power and pace on the right-hand side, coming into the box. A lovely little cutback for Di Canio, who got himself on the wrong foot. He couldn't strike it. Made half a yard for himself and whipped it back across the face. Now, was he offside? I would be inclined to think Savicevic was offside there, but the referee hasn't given it. And Desai doing extremely well there to stab that up. A lovely little bit of skill here.
Well, looking at that angle,
very nice.
Savicevic was definitely offside.
Yes, he was offside. They've had a bit of luck there, Milan.
But Desai is guided in the goal. His first in Serie A this season. It's been a long time coming today for Milan. Savicevic. Maldini. Galli. Fiorentina have, of course, made their two substitutions, so they can't bring on any attacking player now. Robbiati was on the bench. They've neglected him this afternoon. Fowler on Batistuta. who's had only the odd glimpse of goal today. Here he is now, swept out wide for Carbone. Yeah. Maldini diving into the tackle. Batistuta missing his kick. Rui Costa. Good save. Batistuta.
He's given him offside, Peter,
Yep.
and he is standing in an offside position. But when you think of the goal that Milan have just scored, they've got, you would say they have a right to have a little complaint, but I think they might be doing it a little bit too strongly with this referee involved. There we can see, as the shot goes in, I think it's Coes who stays in, as the Milan players push out. Yet Coes is in an offside position, but they can count themselves just a little bit unfortunate.
Here's Simone now. Is this another one? It's gone wide from Di Canio.
Why did he touch that though, Peter? I thought that was going in the goal. He's standing in an offside position anyway, Di Canio. This is fantastic work from Simone. That was beautiful football. As you see him cut inside there, Toldo stands up well. I think the ball's going in the goal.
Well, there appeared to be no flag then, and Di Canio has missed the open goal to end all open goals. Now Boban is coming on. Rather here in the last phase of the game. Zoni Boban, who has been out through injury, he's come on now for Simone.
He's not a happy chap, is he?
Well,
no, beautiful
thought
bit
he
of skill.
scored.
Yeah, right at the finish there. Must have thought it wouldn't be him going off with that bit of ability.
Whacked forward by Maldini. Controversial moments in the game, and Fiorentina have been on the wrong end of them. Here's Boban now. A gifted player, but one who has to fight hard to reclaim his place now in this Milan side. Now that cheer was to signal the fact that Inter have now gone behind. Milan's great rivals, of course. They're away to Padova. Rovaz scored the goal. It's Savicevic now. No, it's Di Canio! Di Canio bursting through, and it's 2 for Milan.
What a great goal, Peter. Beautiful ball from Savicevic back into Di Canio's path. And you can see the jubilation amongst them. We've not really seen this from Milan for quite a while, the way they get round each other at the moment. Is it the return of the Red Devils? I don't know, but they certainly seem up for it.
Well, that was a spanking finish then by Di Canio, who's only been on the field a few minutes as a substitute. I think we all remember that incredible goal he scored against Milan when playing for Napoli last season. And that was another explosive finish. No, there's an injury. But what do you think then, Ray? Are Milan back in title contention?
I think when they started off, Peter, in the game today, they put the opposition, they put Fiorentina under enormous amount of pressure, trying to win the ball back at all costs. And that's what they showed when they were winning the championship, and they were winning the European Cup. They showed a tremendous collectiveness, and we haven't seen too much of that this season. But possibly they are returning to something like that. Milan have got a chance of really creeping up now, and once the big guns see Milan coming, well, we'll see the nerves creep in a little bit, and because Milan are still feared, they are the team to beat.
Well, some concern here for Pioli, Stefano Pioli, the man who had that dreadful injury earlier in the season I was talking about. But while he is carried off, Milan can celebrate their win today at home to Fiorentina by 2-0. Desai and Di Canio. Late on, 8 minutes from time, Desai, 5 minutes later from Di Canio to seal the win.
So Milan confirmed they're back to winning ways. Meanwhile, top of the table Juve visited Sardinia to try to break Cagliari's unbeaten home record and continue their bid for the title.
Violi. Del Piero gave the ball away to Pushedu, who was linked with a move to Juventus in the close season. Villa. One ball to try pick out Deli Valdez. Muzzi now. Penalty. Ciro Ferrara never really got ahead of his attacker when he made the tackle. And that persuaded the referee that Cagliari should have a penalty kick. So Luis Oliveira with a chance to give his side the lead. It's his third Serie A goal of the season. He could well be a Juve player next season, but here he's given his side a dream start. Del Piero, caught in possession once again. Oliveira, Deli Valdez! Tried to divert the ball past Peruzzi, who'd advanced outside his 6-yard box. And he almost succeeded. Ravanelli. Into Vialli. Not the best ball to Conte. Lovely done by Napoli, the former Juventus player. Bissoli now. Deli Valdez is offside, but the referee has waved play on. Muzzi. Deli Valdez! Well, that's a curious goal. Deli Valdez was in an offside position when Bissoli slid the ball through. He was deemed not to be interfering with play, but he certainly was interfering with play here when he gave his side a 2-0 lead. Look at Deli Valdez raising his hands, realising he was in an offside position. And Juventus can feel mighty hard done by, but the linesman didn't raise his flag. Vialli trying to win the ball. He really has had a frustrating afternoon. Pushedu given away to Tekinardi. This is Ravanelli now. Might come to Conte! It's the most direct shot on goal Juve have managed in the second half. Ravanelli's path to goal was blocked, but not Conte's. Deli Valdez got the important flick on. Luis Oliveira. Surely that's a penalty kick. And maybe Peruzzi has played his last part in the game. Luis Oliveira was stopped by the Juventus goalkeeper illegally, but no red card. Luis Oliveira isn't fit enough to take the penalty kick, but Muzzi is. Maybe Juventus are lucky still to have 11 players on the field, but they are 3 goals down and surely out of this game. Livio will take it. Just about got clear. Orlando! Juve still are trying to claw a way back into this football match. This is a terrific strike by the Juventus substitute, but Fiore in the Cagliari goal was equal to it. Piero. Di Livio! And when Fiore was beaten at last, the upright came to his rescue. What a terrific shot that was by Di Livio.
So a tremendous victory for Cagliari and the biggest scalp of the season so far. Elsewhere, struggling Cremonese visited the Stadio Olimpico, where Roma were keen to get back in the running for Lo Scudetto, while second-placed Parma played host to Napoli in Italy's live evening match. However, we get back into the action with the league's top scorers Lazio and their visit to bottom-of-the-table Brescia at the Rigamonti Stadium.
Lazio had never won a Serie A fixture away to Brescia. You might have felt they would never break the trend after Crivero got injured early on. The central defender made a miraculous recovery in time to set up a goal for Alan Boksic after 27 minutes. It was the Croatians' 7th of the season. Lazio's goalkeeper learned his trade with Brescia at the start of his career. Brescia were left thinking they might have taught Marchigiani a little bit too much. Marchigiani excelled in the second half too, denying Bonetti there. In fact, he kept Bonetti out twice to secure Lazio's 3rd win in their last 4 matches. Both Foggia and Reggiana have been having a hard time of it of late. The drive from Di Biagio almost put Foggia in front. Reggiana are only one place off the bottom. Here's Simutenkov almost hit his 4th goal of the season. Foggia were hoping to wipe out the memory of their 7-1 defeat against Lazio. Giovanni Bucaro provided the perfect remedy with his first Serie A goal. More importantly, it proved to be the only goal of this game. Padova in white had a score to settle with Inter on Sunday. Inter had knocked them out of the Italian Cup earlier this season. They started brightly enough, but for Pagliuca in Inter's goal, Padova would have been ahead in the opening stages of this match. Vlahovic was denied here. It seemed as though Padova would have to settle for a point, especially after Balleri was red-carded for lashing out at Dennis Bergkamp. But with 4 minutes left in the game, an unlikely hero emerged from Inter's congested penalty area. Padova's Massimiliano Rossa claimed his first Serie A goal. A late effort from Inter's forgotten man, Darko Pancha, failed to alter the outcome of this match. Inter went down to their 3rd defeat in their last 6 Serie A games. Perhaps Roma's defenders had the controversial defeat against Juve still on their minds. They were almost caught out by Jean de Badji here. Roma were fortunate they didn't concede a goal, but what was Laurieri thinking about when Chiesa did score for Cremonese? Laurieri was standing in for the suspended Chavoni for this game. Chiesa combined with Centoni before his spectacular effort caught Laurieri off his goal line. The goal gave Cremonese the chance to win away to Roma for the 2nd consecutive season. Now this fixture has a special place in the heart of Roma. 66 years ago, Roma hosted Cremonese for their first ever home match in Serie A. They won 9-0 that day, which is still their biggest win in the top flight. They would have settled for just one of those 9 goals and escape a humiliating defeat against a side battling against relegation. Roma must have breathed a huge sigh of relief as Marco Lanna scored his first league goal in more than a year to bring Roma level. Roma then almost went ahead following another corner by Fonseca. And here's Fonseca again. This time his cross picked out Capioli, but Turci was perfectly positioned to secure a welcome point for Cremonese. Bari played Sampdoria at the Luigi Ferrari Stadium and were looking to end a disappointing sequence of 4 consecutive defeats. They claimed an early penalty when Ferri brought down Alessio. The referee indicated the foul took place outside the area. Now, if it was a foul, why was Ferri allowed to stay on the field? Tovaglieri made sure justice was done with his 11th goal of the season. Tovaglieri has now struck 9 times in the last 10 games for Bari. Even Ruud Gullit would be proud of that record. Sadly for him, he failed to get his name on the score sheet. The same goes for Jugovic, though he was denied by an excellent save from Fontana. Sampdoria had won each of their 3 previous home games. Gullit's tumble resulted in a penalty and the chance to extend that impressive record. I'm sure Mangoni would have felt hard done by with the referee's decision. Once again, Bari would have felt justice was done as David Platt's spot kick was easily saved. At 29, Bari's leading scorer, Sandro Tovaglieri, has taken quite a while to realise the early potential he'd shown while with Roma and has become one of the most lethal strikers in the Italian game. Sampdoria were thankful Walter Zenga can be pretty useful with his feet too. Tovaglieri was a constant thorn in the side of Samp's defence. Had he struck his volley a little bit more cleanly, Bari might have come away with maximum points from this game. Instead, Sampdoria persevered to eventually claim a draw in the second half, even though they were made to work hard for it. Bellucci saw his effort cleared off the line by Ricci. Bellucci again came close to scoring moments later. Mancini's delicious flick set up the youngster. There were only 12 minutes remaining when Sampdoria finally equalised, and it was Lombardo who earned a point for the Genoa club with his 4th goal of the season. In fact, Lombardo might have sneaked a late winner. His dismay was echoed by Bari's as Gautieri squandered the chance to give his side their first win away to Sampdoria in 48 years. All in all, a draw seemed a fair result. Some of you might be thinking, whatever happened to Torino's once prolific goal scorer Andrea Silenzi? Well, here he is, missing again. The tall striker claimed 17 league goals last season. In this campaign, he's managed just one. It's one of the reasons Torino have one of the poorest scoring records in Serie A. Only Brescia have scored fewer than Torino's 13 goals this season. Silenzi may well bury his head in the sand. For their part, Genoa was seeking their first win away to Torino in more than half a century. Torino are still unbeaten at home since the opening day of the season. Their barren goal-scoring run is only matched by their barren pitch. This time they had to settle for just a point. The Sunday night game was Parma in white against Napoli. It was something of an old boys reunion. 7 players taking part in this game were lining up against their old team. Parma went into this match 4 points off the head of the table and needed a win to reduce Juve's lead at the top to just 1 point. 3 minutes in, Parma took a 1-goal advantage through Faustino Asprilla, his first league goal since September. Asprilla has only recently returned from Colombia, where he faced firearms charges, all in the everyday life, it seems, of a modern footballer. As is winning dubious penalties. This one came at the start of the second half, as Andre Cruz was penalised for his challenge on Gianfranco Zola. The slow-motion replay shows that Cruz got the merest of touches to the ball, meaning the referee got it nearly right. Napoli old boy Zola got it absolutely right, and Parma led 2-0. It was his 8th Serie A goal of the season. Parma won another penalty 4 minutes from full-time, when Tarantino appeared to have fouled Asprilla. But once again, the slow-motion replay suggests that Asprilla was already in full tumbling mode before the challenge was made. There was a different penalty taker for Parma and a different outcome. Another ex-Napoli man, Crippa, stung the goalkeeper's hands, but couldn't alter the scoreline. Crippa can hardly be blamed for not hitting the ball hard enough. Sadly, it was straight at Tagliatella. The penalty instant involving Tarantino and Asprilla bubbled up again just before full-time when they had this playground squabble. Asprilla got expelled. Incidentally, he'd only just returned from suspension. Now he faces another one. Asprilla wasn't happy with being elbowed in the jaw by the Napoli fullback. Sadly, Asprilla quite literally took the law into his own hands. So, Parma closed the gap on Juventus. The league leaders will need to hold their nerve in this week's rearranged Turin derby if they're to reopen that 4-point cushion at the top of the table. At the bottom, things are beginning to look desperate for Reggiana and Brescia. Otherwise, it looks like a battle to the death to escape the 2 remaining relegation places. Any club in the bottom 9 could go down, and that includes Inter. In the scoring charts, little change. Sandro Tovaglieri's goal at Sampdoria takes him clear in 2nd place, while Gianfranco Zola moves up to 8th. But we'll leave you today with the goals that shook the whole of Serie A and blew the title race wide open as Cagliari fell the giants of Juventus. We'll see you next week. Now, what will Alan Wilkie do here? This game has boiled over and Cantona sent off. For the 5th time since joining Manchester United, Eric Cantona sees red. Au revoir, Cantona. United will play the remainder of this game with 10 men. Cole still talking to the referee about the decision. into the crowd and has picked a fight with a spectator. That's outrageous. He's being led away now by Norman Davies, the kit man, and Peter Schmeichel, the Manchester United goalkeeper. The players are being showered with tea thrown from the spectators. Paul Ince has unnecessarily got involved as well. But Manchester United's Eric Cantona completely lost his head then after being sent off. That certainly will have repercussions not only for Alex Ferguson, not only for Manchester United, but more importantly for Eric Cantona. Well, how can Manchester United put that incident out of their minds and carry on in this game? That's where Shaw pushed Cantona, and Cantona rather foolishly retaliated. But what followed is a landmark in the English game, a very sour landmark, with Cantona diving over the advertising hoardings. Giggs now. Well, there's a sense of disbelief about what's just happened. Richard Shaw and Eric Cantona, and their feud continued. The police are taking statements from the spectators who were closest to the incident when Cantona...
Peaceful scenes will live long in the memory. Cantona's actions, for whatever reasons, were totally unjustified. As the Manchester United party left for Old Trafford, the local police confirmed they were making inquiries into allegations of assault against Cantona, and also his teammate Paul Ince, who was involved in an incident in the aftermath of Cantona's indiscretion. As for the Football Association, they were quick to respond to the affair and released a statement less than 24 hours later.
The Football Association has this evening charged Eric Cantona of Manchester United and France with misconduct that has brought the game into disrepute. He'll be given 14 days to respond before an FA commission considers the case. What happened last night was a stain on our game. If any offence is proved, the player concerned is bound to face a severe punishment. We will have ensured all the circumstances leading up to the incident get the fullest and fairest consideration.
The United board have announced that Cantona will be suspended until the end of the season and fined the maximum allowable under his contract. United chairman Martin Edwards accepted the decision would have an adverse effect on United's chances of honours, but said it was in the best interests of the club. Cantona, also banned by France, must now await possible further punishment. First defeat in 12 league games. If United go on to retain the title, they'll do so without Eric Cantona. His sending off at Crystal Palace this week led to one of the ugliest scenes ever witnessed in the English professional game. No words surely can be too harsh in condemning his abhorrent behaviour. His future in England jeopardised by one moment of sheer madness, so contrasting to the genius that inspired United to those championship wins.
This Saturday, join Karen Tai and the ABC Sports team for highlights of Super Bowl 29, the Junior Tennis Challenge, athletics, sports news and much more, all on Saturday afternoon sport. Check your local